The announcement is this: I'm going to be doing a Google Hangout next Friday, not today, but next Friday, and that particular Google Hangout will be focused on primarily one thing. I'm asking everyone to bring their own personal rap to this particular Google Hangout.
I'm gonna expose myself on YouTube. I'm gonna make a YouTube video embarrassing myself.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I got to tell you about the fabulous, most groovy
G-Man. You know you're breaking the law right now. I will stomp a mud hole in you, sir. I am not playing Dragnauct.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
So big in this that I be.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even outtalk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
So big in this that I be.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even outtalk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries.
Folks, it's not a baby carrot. Or is it? You'll never know. Or maybe you will if you find the many things of me on the internet that has my penis. Anyway, why is his face all the way up there? Okay, there we go. Cool. Welcome. How are y'all doing? I appreciate a lot of you, actually quite a few of you reaching out to me because you all remembered that I live in the Houston area and there's a hurricane barreling our way. I wasn't concerned because I've been through a few hurricanes in my life. If Katrina did not kill me, this one won't. But yeah, we are perfectly fine. There's not even wind here. I figured that it would, go the way that it's going. Unfortunately, the way that it's going was toward my parents. So somebody did reach out specifically because they remembered where my parents are, and my parents are safe in a completely different state, staying with a friend. Actually, staying with our pastor over in Mississippi, believe it or not. And so they're fine. I hope their new place doesn't get wrecked because their new place is nice, actually, very, very nice, actually. Folks. So things are fine here. I was kind of upset because, I was trying to order some steak last night because it's like, it's a hurricane party, get some alcohol, some steak, and, other paraphernalia. But can't do it here in Texas. It's not as easy. But unlike Louisiana, Houston, actually Texas, I should say, has a pretty good idea on what to do when there's hurricane. You give people areas and you tell them you evacuate here, you evacuate there, and you plan and you prep and you have the infrastructure to support natural disasters, and not just kind of go, well, Chocolate City, and fuck it. 10 points if you get that reference. Monty, Hannibal, y'all not allowed to answer that one. Anyway, so some of you may have to refresh if you saw the first version of this video. I think it said the welcome to the jungle. That's not for this one. About 3 or 4, maybe three or 4 episodes after this, it'll be welcome to the jungle. I got some videos mixed up. Of course, I got videos mixed up. Part of trying to curate all the material is cross-referencing dates, and something that's uploaded in one area may not be actually when it was uploaded, so part of the problem. But I remembered that the video that I was going to review, which was the Debate Coliseum, that's actually still up. That's on the original channel, so I had to realize that. It's like, oh no, we're at the beginning of March 2019. This is not 2018. It's not 2017. It's not 2014. This was about a year ago. So not sure why certain people keep saying it's about 3 years ago or ancient history. I mean, I'm just saying it's still up on your channel. Not too far back. Ain't gotta do too much scrolling. So, anyway. Uh-oh, Jonathan Green. Oh, you know about Chocolate City. Yeah. Oh, Plastic Kind. Yep. Bruh, fucking Ray Nagin. Chocolate City. Yes, that's right. That's right. Gotta love niggas. Anyway. So, folks. Some of your wonderful super chat donations, all that bullshit, will be going towards hurricane relief for those who are in need. Because as you can imagine, I'm quite sympathetic towards people who have been impacted by hurricanes. I shouldn't have to say why, because I did earlier. I literally said Hurricane Katrina earlier. So, just so y'all know where your money's going. By the way, hi G-Man, how are you doing? Hi. Hello.
It's not a real fucking gun. Help me.
Was G-Man abandoned by his owners? Abandoned is a strong word. Excuse me. Abandoned is a strong word. It's very strong. I want to say he's just kind of being neglected right now. I think that being neglected. Abandoned. Let's not use terms like that. Okay. Let's not go there. Abandonment makes it seem like, you know what, you get abandoned kind of unceremoniously. From what little I did see, because honestly, I've been playing New World. I've been waiting for this fucking game to come out for quite some time now, and I've been playing that for like as long as Shani has been up doing whatever it is she's doing on her channel, except that I stop and I take breaks to check on my child. Because that's what a parent does. You don't just play for 10, 18 hours a day and decide the child comes and wants something from you, then you address it. That's not how you parent. But whatever. Just saying. And don't yell at the fucking child. The child's nerve. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm gonna talk about that some other time. Anyway, yes, I saw that somebody put it in Discord, the definition of fucking was it truffle something? Milk truffle? And then the definition of fucking G-Man.
It's not a real fucking gun. Help me.
Oh god. That collar is at least 2 sizes too big for Gary. Yeah, he's not gonna wear the right size collar, but that's to his benefit. Anyway. All right. So where are we at? There's enough stalling. And yeah, I saw somebody was upset because the bumper music was a few minutes long. Thank you for those in the chat who were explaining why I even have the music in the first place, because it should be obvious, but you know, whatever. Is New World any good? We need a drag review. I will probably go live today because I've been doing a lot of crafting and stuff. We've been in Discord. If you've not been in Discord, me, Xavier, Lucifer Almighty, Mo, he's just MO on here, Kitty Atheist, T Diesel, Jello Shots. There's somebody else I'm missing too that's playing with us. There's quite a few people. Holy Spackle's playing with us. So I will go live on Twitch. I'm not going to go live on YouTube because it's too distracting. But I'll go live on Twitch so y'all can see. It's a wonderful It's the level of difficulty in the game is right where I want it. And there's enough frustration to keep me going because there's actually a war that's going to be happening over some territory that I definitely want over in Everfall. So I've been picked. Me and Xavier have both been picked for this war. So I'm going to offer my healing powers. So you'll get to see the Dragnauct magical powers in a video game if you're curious. So that's okay. Thank you, Lucifer. Yeah, that's a kitty. I will be picking up New World. No, it's not a survival game. It's like Elder Scrolls Online as far as its look and feel. It is MMORPG. The combat's very active, kind of like Dark Souls. It's not tab targeting. You actually have to aim the shit, and so I had to actually take my Xbox controller, which you see is connected here to my computer, and I've had to change the sensitivity just so I can aim better, because I'm not a huge fan of just mouse and keyboard. I'm more of a laid back with my dick out and having a controller because I'm that kind of guy. Anyway, I think that's enough of us. Where's Betty? Oh, he gave Betty away before he moved into Shanny and Reb's place. Betty's gone. He did get a new cat. I forgot what that cat's name is. Oh, I don't keep up with the G animals too much because anytime he can't take care of himself, much less an animal. So anytime I see him with an animal, I immediately think. Anyway, let me not say that. So, where are we at? What are we doing? I need to remove Facebook. There we go. Let me X out of fucking Facebook. There we go. Has the opposition attempted to recruit Mrs. D? There's always an open offer to get my wife, and I'm like, you're more than welcome to try. Like, I don't think that there's a certain type that she has, and if you don't fit that type, I'm not really concerned. Even if you did fit that type, I'd enjoy watching, just for not like the cuckold kind of like enjoy, but just to kind of see what she does, because I like making her feel awkward. But free Petty. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest with you. G-Man don't have the juice. She likes men, not 46-year-old fucking. Let me not say that because that sounds really colorist if I say that. Guy with the physique of a Russian gymnast, teenage Russian gymnast. That he doesn't have enough man on him in order for her to enjoy. Plus, he don't wash his dick, so that's a huge turnoff from the women folk. From what I understand, you gotta at least sometimes wash down there. I know Cardi B says she likes there's a little bit of must down there because that's her kink. But whatever, right? If that's a little bit of ball sweat's her thing. But he don't wash his shit, so I don't transferring UTIs it's not cool. I'm pretty sure many women don't want to deal with that. Plus, he's a broke ass bitch, and he's stupid. Like, I'm not sure what advantage a woman would get. Maybe he's working with like a 10-incher. I don't know. It could be. Things got to even out somewhere. Don't know. Anyway, enough about G-Man's penis. This video is March 1st, 2009. Dragnauct slot. Like, he's not gonna pop up and say shit about that. You know he ain't gonna say shit about that. So Dragnauct alluded to my penis being long. Dragnauct, you're go ahead, Dragnauct. Tell that truth, man. Tell that truth. Speak, brother. Speak. Put some facts on it. He ain't gonna say shit. But but all right, we're at March 1st, 2019. I don't know what the fuck's going on with the bot. I gotta reset it. G-Man is still living with a family member. This is the interim between him leaving the residence over in Pennsylvania that's owned by the Jasons and them family, right? That Shanny offered him, and moving into the place that we call the beep 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 house with the broken fire alarm. We're here. He stays in this residence, I think, for another 2 weeks, and then he starts making his transition. No pun intended. So that's where we're at. But in an effort to maintain some sense of normalcy, G-Man needs to sort of ramp up the victimhood. Because if you're still new to G-Man, a big part of his ministry, and I'm going to keep doing this because he doesn't know when to use air quotes, and he keeps misusing them, and still hasn't figured out how to properly use air quotes. A part of that is a huge victim complex. And when I mean huge, like some of us are sensitive about certain things. Those of us who have my skin affliction, we might be a little bit more sensitive about racial issues. Some of you women folk may be extra sensitive to sexism, depending on how you grew up and what you've been through. It happens, right? But there's a line. For G-Man, anytime he's told that he can't do something, he's being victimized. He's a martyr. G-Man, you can't stab that baby. That's my Christian duty to go stab the Antichrist baby. I gotta go do it. Stupid shit like that. Like obviously that's hyperbole, but that gives you an understanding of sort of how his mind works. If you listen to how he talks about trans women very recently, it's like his obligation to kill trans woman if she doesn't disclose to him quick enough. Like he felt like it was like a mar against his image if he didn't say shit like that, right? So that's the oppressive liberal Democrat atheist communist Satan. Like he just throws out these adjectives like he knows what they fucking mean. But that is the mentality of a man-child. He is fucking entitled, and when he doesn't get what he wants, what does a child do? They throw a tantrum. So the way that this works is that he has to find a way to integrate that into his theology. And so the way that he does that is to say, look, anytime anything happens to me, anyone says no, or something acting outside of a buffer, like laws, that's persecution. And because it's him and he identifies as a Christian, well, it has to be Christian persecution. It's not just, no, you as an individual person making a decision can't do that. No, it's you as a Christian can't do that. Anytime, and you all will notice this, anytime G-Man is just a recalcitrant, fucking ugly, terrible person, he's just rude and obnoxious and ignorant, it always goes back to theology. It's always wrapped in a victimhood of him being a Christian. It's never that his behavior as a person is unacceptable. You'll rarely see him acknowledge that outside of his Christian paradigm that he as a person has erred. Right? He's rarely going to acknowledge that. Very, very seldom have I ever seen him do it. I'd be lying if I said I'd never seen him do it. But it's almost a footnote. And it has to be in the presence of one of his enablers so that he feels like they're going to jump in and absolve him from that at any moment. Right? It has to be a fertile ground for him to admit that he as a person has certain failings. And occasionally you'll even see a video where he kind of openly talks about it. Now, when I say talk about it, he'll repeat what other people have said. He won't sit down and make an assessment or introspect on where he can improve. That's never really a feature of something that G-Man does. He's not interested in improvement. He's interested in people believing that he's something that he's not. Which smart is one of them. Clever is one of them. A minister is one of them. A Christian being the chief of all. But those things that he needs people to believe, he needs to be taken seriously. So a part of that is being a martyr. If people don't take you seriously, how can you be a martyr? Clowns don't make good martyrs. So one of the huge reasons, huge, bigly reasons that he doesn't like the fact that I tell people not to take him seriously is that he can't slip into this martyr character that he's trying to build online. Right? So he is going to tell us about the great Christian purge is coming. A lot like the Purge movies, but listen to how he talks about this. Again, when he talks about Christians, right? These are people who identify, self-profess to be, lovers of Jesus Christ, followers bathed in blood, all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of you out there. But his narrow, very myopic view of the Christian theology has to be met to some degree. It has to be somewhat useful to exposing the lies of the last days. You've heard him say that a lot, because that is probably one of the tenets that undergirds this myopic theology that he has.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today, I want to talk about something.
Y'all gonna have to turn up your stuff. He's low.
In the future, but before we do that, nothing is more.
It's not a real fucking gun. Help me.
It's pronounced martyr. Excuse me, martyr.
Then the event of the return of our Lord and our Savior Jesus Christ, according to the Scriptures. The skies are going to open up like a scroll, and Christ is going to return on a white horse with tens of thousands of his saints, and he's going to come back and establish his 1,000-year reign here on the earth. And a lot of us are looking forward to that day.
So it looks like he actually may be in the beep beep house now. I may be mistaken, folks. We may have already crossed over.
How you doing, Haitian QT? And if I don't say hello to everyone else, hello everyone, how you guys doing? Please do me a favor and give this video a like, because you know the haters are going to come and downvote the video because we're Christians. Yeah, so a lot of us are looking forward to the return of our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm looking forward to it, and I know a lot of you are looking forward to that. That is the sole event that all of us are looking forward to. Before Christ returns, a lot of negative things are going to happen to his body here on the earth. Now, whether you're a pre-trib rapture person or you're a post or a mid, that's kind of irrelevant, because we still have brothers and sisters being persecuted all around the world. But the great Christian purge in the United States of America is coming, and we need to get our hearts and our minds ready for it. Let me explain to you guys the reality of the world that we live in today. Granted, it's great that we can go out there and we can preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to people. We have this fantastic opportunity to be his ambassadors and to go out there to represent him.
So he's talking about the Great Commission. There's a set of rules. I shouldn't say rules. There's a set of orders. There's marching orders. That's the way I want to describe it. Marching orders. Hey, we need to get more people. Everybody needs to get on this thing, get on board, so we can all go into paradise and be happy. All that kind of stuff. Cool. I'm familiar with that. That's awesome. If you think that's your calling in life, go for it. Some of us find it annoying, but whatever, right? Some people are cool about this. Some people, you invite them over to meet your family, barbecue. Hey, how about you come to our church? Yeah, no, I'm not really interested in religion stuff. Oh, okay, cool. What's going on with the game? Right? And that's it, right? And they may mention something to you 2 or 3 weeks down the road. Hey, yeah, me and the church are hanging out. Very casual. And they open the door for you they are the ambassador. They are like actual kind people who you can see have warm and welcoming presence. Like, we've all known people like that. You know what? They're a little bit more religious than some, but they're not trying to throw hellfire and brimstone and damn people and judge this and that and the other. Those are the type of people that I've been around, and those are the type of people you miss. You know what? You could dress them around your kids. It's usually, unless they're the Duggars. But that's not what this guy's about. That's not. So you have to ask yourself, if all of us know people like that, if all of us, whether you believe in whatever or not, right? All of us know people like that. Some of you are people like that. Why can't he be like that? because what's the old saying, right? You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. We all know some of that stuff. The G-Man video is up all the way. I've turned it up both in the YouTube and his video and on my sound mixer in here, and I have to turn up on my own TV here because this is not a monitor. But this is him just talking low because it's usually he does this early in the morning where it's still sort of it's still sort of early for him. Get a guy a break. But yeah, you are going to turn this up. I do apologize. A lot of his older videos are a lot like this, where he's just sort of mumbling. And so now we're the G-Man where he's too fucking loud. So he can't really modulate his voice very well at all. He knows nothing of how to do that. So I do apologize.
And to boldly tell the truth of God's word. But the reality is a lot of people on this planet hate God. They hate him. And they
Now, this is one of the, I would say, core tenets of G-Man. People who don't believe in my theology must hate the God that is at the center of it. That is something that is in every conversation that he ever has with people who believe, people who don't. It doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter, because you will see this come up quite often. So it is turn your mic down so you're not so loud on our device. Okay, yep, I am way too loud. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, so is that? Let me know if that's better. Yeah, I just noticed that I was peaking. So I appreciate that, by the way. This is something that people need to pay attention to. This is something that is going to play a larger role in I just realized I was in the red zone. This plays a larger role in any of the things that he will say about a person's motivation, because G-Man is good for impugning motives in other people. And so when he's talking about the hate, that isn't the type of visceral hatred you, myself, and anyone else will have for like someone who hurts children, right? That's a hate. People who hurt children get hate expressed towards them, because why would you do that, right? That's a heinous act. That's somewhat of what G-Man, that's kind of sort of what he wants to express here, but that's actually not what happens, right? There are people like myself who simply just don't believe, and it's just a character in a narrative. There's many characters and many narratives, and I don't feel any more or less emotions toward them than I do for his particular narrative, right? It's not a huge deal to me, but he can't accept that. There is a separation between what this person here before you will actually accept and reality. He refuses to actually acknowledge what people believe. Now you have to ask yourself, well, Drag, hold on, if you're saying that, why does he come online and debate people if he doesn't actually care? He doesn't. He actually does not care. What you see him do is pick and choose words out of what someone's saying and then create these straw man arguments to try and argue against. It has been explained to him that is dishonest and that's not how you have these conversations, but he doesn't care. Again, another reason why you should never take him seriously. And that's why I take my time, I'll turn on closed captioning, and I want you all to hear when someone says something to him. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't even have to be a debate. He takes it and mangles it. And he turns it into something that can better fit his overall view of other people who disagree with him. Think about this for a second. It even fits with what's going on with him getting kicked out of the house. When you heard Shanny express to him that the issue, G-Man, isn't the hair, the issue was the money, and you misusing the money I gave you. Now, think about what he repeats back to her, and what he repeats back to all of you as you listen to it. Did he at any point in time really acknowledge what went wrong? He does now. He does now. It's a year later, but when it's the moment when he's actually voice to voice with that person, he can't ascertain what's being said because he's too busy trying to tell someone what they believe. He can't actually have organic conversations. I didn't have to tell a lot of you that, but that is a huge stumbling block for him. That's why you see later on, when he has time to sit down and think about it and not have somebody in his face challenging him, that he sometimes comes to an accurate conclusion. That's not random, because it takes a bit of brain power to listen to what someone says, parse it out, process it, and then think about what they're saying in terms of what you're trying to express. What's going on, Irish? That actually takes quite a bit. That's why children sometimes struggle with this. If you don't believe me, if for those of you who have young kids like me, 9, 10-year-old, when they go to school, ask them what they did. Children struggle with that, right? They struggle with trying to hold that question in their head and then pick through all the things that they did to find out what they need to tell you. So it's easier for G-Man, and much like a child, to simply fabricate whatever it is that he needs to fabricate based on a few words he heard you say. And it may seem demeaning, because I know a lot of people who suck G-Man's dick are in my chat, but it's true. It's actually true. After years of dealing with this guy, I kind of found that out, that it's the same thing that you get with children, because they can't actually hold all that stuff in their head and sort through it. They're not adept at that. Not yet. Not yet. Your brain has to mature to a certain level in order to be able to do that. So what you end up getting are these really fanciful depictions of what he wants it to be. This is the reality that he wants. And so he will simply misconstrue what people say and what people do in order to help add fuel to the flame.
They want to see, if it were possible, they would kill him themselves. They would murder God if it were possible for them to do it.
Now, if you were to ask G-Man, who says that they're going to kill your deity? Who said that, G-Man? Who, is this hyperbole? He doesn't actually know what that word means, but who actually said that? He couldn't tell you. Well, I heard someone say that they think that they could make a better world. Okay, how does that substantiate the claim you just made? Well, if you don't like it, then obviously you want to kill the person who did a bad job. No, he will bend over backwards and do all types of mental gymnastics to validate that claim. He knows that he's lying. He's fully aware that he's lying. But anytime you hear him say outlandish stuff like that, ask him for his justification. Do not expect him to say, oh yeah, I talked to a guy actually just last week and he was saying that. His name is so-and-so, so-and-so, here's where you can find it. You're not going to hear that. You're going to hear him misconstrue something that someone said and then offer his justification as to why he should be able to do that. You're going to hear him tell you why he should be able to straw man people.
They hate his judgments. They hate his opinions.
So, disagreeing with some of the moral edicts of God, hate. Think about that, hate. If we're talking about a character, I can hate the fact that Oedipus did what he did with his mother, right? But my expression towards this character in the narrative doesn't actually translate into reality, because if I don't think that this character actually exists, then I'm offering a commentary on a narrative, and that's it. He can't really separate that, and that's a huge stumbling block for him. You can give your opinion about any TV character, but that doesn't mean that you have a visceral hatred or love for that character. The character is not real in this case.
They hate his morality. They hate everything about him. Okay, a lot of us Christians sometimes will go out there and we'll do things for the Lord.
Blacks are oppressed. Oh, we're so oppressed. Look at all the fucking money we got from the fucking welfare system to buy fucking lobster tails on your fucking EBT card.
Atheists are all secretly Kratos, Zeus.
Yep.
Feed the hungry. We'll do fundraisers for people who hate us. We'll go out there and do things like this. And you're thinking that the world loves you because of it. No, they don't. They don't love, they might like the fact that you're doing a quote unquote good deed.
Now, it always goes back to G-Man. Anytime he's talking about anything dealing with religion, it's always in relation to himself. I'm pretty sure y'all picked up on that. But did you catch what he just said about Christians doing good things? And he mentioned doing fundraisers for people he doesn't like. You've heard him mention him doing a fundraiser for someone in the hospital, someone named Gus. That's what he's talking about here. Well, one of the instances, right? And G-Man, kind of like Rev News, thinks that when you do something for someone, they're obligated to kiss your ass forever in perpetuity. You hear Rev actually even recently mentioned that he gave Vaughn money to clothe his kids, right? So Vaughn should never say anything bad about Rev because of that. G-Man's a lot of the same way. Very, very similar in the mindset that if he does something for you, then he gets to hold that over you. It doesn't matter if he stabs someone's baby. If he gave you $10, you should never say anything about that. Very similar, him and Rev, in that aspect. But for G-Man, it always goes back to that self-gratification. And that's a very, very, very important feature in who he is and why he's adopted these religious beliefs.
But they hate the fact that you're doing it because God told you to do it, or the Spirit of God is moving you to do these things. They hate that. They want you to do it because you want to do it and not because God is telling you to do it. Okay? They hate the idea of somebody telling them what to do. And as much as they like to try to say to us that they don't hate God, remember, it is the same people that are constantly talking about him in a negative way over and over and over again. And we have people in the body of Christ, people who are claiming that they're Christians. And the reason,
here we go, that divide and conquer. G-Man needs to show you that when people are saying, when he says people, let's not mince words here. Let's not mince words. When G-Man's saying people here, talking about God's character and morals and stuff like that, he's talking about us non-believers when we talk about, hey, there was this story in the Bible, this doesn't seem very moral, I disagree with that, right? All of us are free to disagree with a moral edict at any point in time. That's why we have brains, that's why we think, right? But notice something. Notice something. When I talk about him impugning motives, disagreeing with the morality of a particular tale involving his patron deity is akin to hate. Now I want you to think about that first. I want you to relate that to your own parents. You know what? You know, God's everybody's parent. Relate this to your parent. If you see your mother and she's doing something immoral, and you go, hey, I thought you raised me better than that, and then they give you a justification for whatever that is, but you disagree. I don't think that that's a great justification, right? I think your morals in this one instance are a bit off. Do you hate your mother? No, of course not. You disagree, but you don't hate your mother. You don't hate them. That makes no sense. And that has been explained to him time and time again. But what is important here? What's at the core of this? He needs to feel like a victim. He needs to be a martyr. Being a part of an entity that is hated means that you vicariously gain that hate. The ire is drawn towards you. G-Man needs this sort of antagonism in order to fulfill this martyrdom that he has going on. This is a perfect example of G-Man slipping into that role. And the difference between him and other people who profess to be religious in nature. This is gratifying for him. This is something he looks forward to. This is why he has to misconstrue things in order to get what he wants. He is looking for, and he even says this at a certain point, that he looks forward to being persecuted. So rather than finding actual persecution, like, you know, being burned as a witch in Africa or some shit, you know, being beaten in a country that has a theocracy, G-Man has to find innocuous scenarios that have really nothing to do with hate and turn them into hate. He has to reshape reality in order to fit what he wants. It is wholly dishonest and delusional, but it's acceptable by G-Man and the people who enable him.
why I'm going to say that they're in the body of Christ is because of this, okay? Jesus said,
I want you all to take a look at this, because this, I almost forgot about this. G-Man often talks about the divide and conquer game, where there's Christians being pit against other Christians. The irony here, and some of you have acknowledged this, is that when you hear G-Man talk about the Christians who don't fit his very myopic view of theology, as far as the Christian religion, you hear him very often separate the true Christians from the so-called Christians. And that's how he refers to them, the so-called Christians. Well, hold on for a second. You're dividing Christians, G-Man. That I don't have to do anything. How tall is G-Man? Like 5'6", I don't know. But this is a huge bit of irony here. The person who actually is dividing those of a religious stripe is G-Man. He is quick to call out people who don't agree with his narrow view of religion non-Christian, even though they are.
that the tares are going to grow with the wheat, but when he returns, he's going to separate the two. He's going to separate the sheep from the goats. So when he comes back, he's ultimately going to tell them to their face that they never believed to begin with, and he's going to tell them why. Jesus said to do something, and they didn't do it. It's going to be a really sad day on that day, because a lot of these people are really convicted that they're believers, but they have no fruit.
They have no fruit. So that begs the question, G-Man, what is your fruit? Let's look at how Christian were you, G-Man? Let's look at this, because we're still on the heels of him being kicked out of that house. Does G-Man's behavior when dealing with Shani and Rev, I guess for that, well, less or so with Rev, does his behavior in that house reflect the tenets and values of Christianity, the Christian religion? I think it's not that simple of a question. I pose it fairly simply, but you get the point that I'm making. There's nuances there. But if you were to take 50 Christians, just pick them from each state, pastors, deacons, parishioners, whatever, and you show them the Eviction Saga, and you ask them, does this guy act as a good representative of the body of Christ? What do you think that they say? You put him on a hot seat. You look at his fruit, because he was given a house. He was given the opportunity to increase his ministry by not having to worry about rent. That's, hey, you know what? And that's part of why he got the house, so he could continue his ministry against the black Hebrew Israelites. But what did he do? He squandered it. He squandered a great opportunity, a great boon to his ministry. And to make matters worse, he burned the bridge. Is that very becoming of a Christian? Is that how an adult handles a situation? I don't think so.
They're false witnesses. They're liars. They're idol worshipers. These people make up stuff as it goes along and whatnot, and they claim that they're speaking for Almighty God. It takes a lot of courage to get on here and speak on behalf of God, guys. It takes a lot of courage to do it.
It takes a lot of courage to get on the internet and on YouTube and say words in front of a camera. A lot of courage. Right now, it's taking a lot of courage for me. A lot of courage. Any one of you could reach through this screen and choke me right now. I could have an electrical surge and I could be teleported into the Matrix. It takes a lot of courage sitting here. You see that blender behind him? That blender could come alive and eat him. The shirts that are obviously 2 sizes too big could choke him one day. He could trip on it. He could get caught in the sink. Anything could happen. So it's taking a lot of courage for him to sit down in that house with that fire alarm going off incessantly and make videos on the internet.
Do that. You need the Holy Spirit to get on here and be bold for Jesus Christ. Because in your flesh, it's going to be difficult because of the peer pressure, the threat of possible harm to you, and everything like that.
Oh, the threat. That's the piece. We're only not even 5 minutes in the video. This has been something that's come up time and time again. And those of you who are new and don't believe me, we've seen very recently that I predicted the Tard fall, where the Tard Alliance fell apart. It's pretty easy because it's been happening. But what you're going to see later, you're going to see, because this happens at least once a year, you're going to hear G-Man say that he's been receiving emails from people who have been threatening him. Now, Dragnauct, has anyone ever said anything violent towards G-Man? Absolutely. I've been around for a lot of it. And people will say, you know what, you should go play in traffic. That's about the extent of it. But if someone tells G-Man facetiously to go play in traffic, he thinks that that's a death threat. Just so y'all understand where his line is. He thinks that they mean go do it literally. So no, G-Man, that's people say that on the internet. That's not literal. But fine. But he has very recently started, I say recent, within the last few years, started saying that people are sending him violent emails, threatening to kill him. And he says he knows that they're atheists. I said, okay, let's see them. Show them on screen, and I will denounce them myself as the king of the non-believers and the black people and everything else. I will denounce them. We'll never do it. And still to this day, we'll never actually do it. We know he's lying. In fact, the people who do send him emails tend to forward them to me. So I actually have a pretty good idea who's sending him emails. But he's lying about that. So you will see in the future that G-Man will claim that he is still, going through death threats. He will show his emails. He's not against that, for those of you who are new. He has entire videos where he's showing people his Google Mail, and you can see people with different screenshots and people saying, hey, you're giving Vaughn a platform, fuck you, all that kind of stuff. He has shown all of them. He has seen all of them. He fucked up in the last time he did that because there was the period of time in between he claimed that he got those death threats and he was receiving the fuck you for Vaughn thing. They were within weeks of one another. And you can see the dates as he showed his screen. And so I said, okay, well, let's look at this stuff that G-Man's talking about. And you can see who's sending it. And I'll say, I recognize that name, recognize that one. And then you can look at the dates. He hadn't received anything in the time period he claimed he did for a death threat. Again, the dates are shown if you open up your mail.google.com. He was lying. He didn't think about it because there's too many things going on in his head. He didn't think about it. But I called him out on that. And this was, might have been middle of last year that happened. Might have been middle of last year. Might have my time frame wrong. But anyway, you'll see it happen again. Yep. So he has been already exposed as being a liar on that front. So when you hear him talk about receiving death threats, always ask him. Because if someone is legit giving him death threats, that is to be concerned. That does need to be called out. Don't get me wrong. But he has so far lied about that.
I'm telling you, it's going to stop you in your tracks. That's why you don't see a lot of people going out there preaching the gospel. They won't participate in these hangouts and preach the gospel. They're too scared to tell people that they're fearfully made in the image of God. They're too scared to go out.
Just like Faithful to God was scared to come into, my hangout and say that he's a Christian and to stay afterwards and to preach the gospel to a non-believer who is a frequent in my Discord. Faithful to God was so afraid to do that. And let me tell you, he was pissing himself because it just the fear that gripped that man.
Go out there and tell people that Jesus did rise from the dead. They're too scared to tell people that the world was flooded, even if they can't understand it. They're scared because they don't have the spirit. But when people get into God's word, or they can be disobedient. They can actually be saved and be disobedient. But when we get into God's word and we study it and we apply it, that's when we get our strength to go out there and do the things that God wants us to do.
Now, this is a part of the boldness that I spoke about last time. There's something that is admirable that G-Man's little cavalcade of idiots around him seem to latch onto, and I've been told by one of them that it's his boldness. When he talks about understanding a piece of literature, an anthology that is the Bible, know that that's his cursory, his surface level reading of one translation of the Bible. There are many, many translations. There are people who have PhDs in understanding the original languages. Dr. Josh is one of them, right? Not many people are going to go and get a PhD in this stuff. I'm not, obviously. But there are biblical concordances. There are all type of classes you could take. There are things that you can do to become more literate in this topic. Absolutely. He's not going to do that. He's not. Right? He's primarily educated from YouTube. Right? You've seen him attempt to type. You've seen what his titles look like. Now, someone who is barely literate, and I want to ask you all this. Just think about this. If he is talking about his ability to discern facts from this anthology, that is a translation, that is it's a several thousand years old narrative. Do you think someone with his limited literacy skills is actually able to accurately depict what's in that book? Most of y'all would say probably not. Probably not, because there's a connection between your literacy and your ability to understand stuff within that language, written or otherwise. There's a whole lot that's tied into that. There's a direct correlation with your literacy level and what you're able to ascertain from text within whatever language it is, right? There's a reason children can't read Shakespeare. Now, with that being said, because he understands that his literacy skills are weak. He understands that, believe it or not. What you are hearing him talk about, though, and I want you all to listen to this, he thinks that because he has been touched, he's been gifted, his deity has imbued him with extra special powers of discernment so that he can come to the truth of what's in the book regardless of his literacy level. Now, when I say that, it sounds outlandish, that you can somehow overcome basic literacy, deficiency by having special powers. Yes, he literally believes that. He absolutely 100% believes that. And when you hear him talk about taking up certain positions, being connected with the Spirit, that's a reference to it. The positions he comes to from reading the book that he can hardly understand due to his terrible literacy is due to the fact that he is he is saved, he is imbued with these powers. That is how he overcomes not being able to write a grammatically correct sentence or understand them. If you, and I want people, if you don't believe me, that's fine. Absolutely, just listen to him read a compound, complex sentence, or a sentence with words that multisyllabic. It's a real struggle for him. It's a huge struggle for him to read. Someone who's struggling reading probably doesn't have an accurate depiction of what's going on, right? But you can overcome it if you're special.
Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But let's get back to the events that's going to happen before Christ returns. Fact of the matter is that you are going to be hated for your love of God.
Remember that. You're going to be hated for your love of God. That's a huge leap. I keep saying huge leap. These are so many wonderful G-Man hot takes. If you're invested for whatever reason in understanding this individual, this is something that you cannot forget. You will be hated for your love of God. You will be hated. G-Man believes that there's a visceral hatred of him. There are people who have expressed this, not because of his beliefs, because he backs pedophilia. He's defended pedophilia before. He said recently where he'll beat a trans woman. Certain people have expressed hate because those are abhorrent views. Those are heinous acts. Why would you do that? That's why people actually hate him. But he believes that what he's saying is absolutely fine, and that hate is just being masked is all because he's a Christian. And you will see him often say this. This is something you cannot forget. Another reason why you cannot take this person seriously.
See, the world is becoming more and more hostile towards him. It ain't just atheists coming after us. We need to wake up and realize it's atheists, Hebrew Israelites, Muslims. It's the Hindus, the Buddhists, the New Agers. We're definitely outnumbered here in the world. Another reason why you should lift your hands up to God and just give him thanks that he keeps us safe on a daily basis, because it's getting real out here, man. It's getting real. Like, me myself, I get death threats on this channel all the time. Recently, the situation that I went through, this woman was talking about I deserved a bullet in my head.
Now, didn't I just say that he's going to talk about getting death threats? Didn't I just say that? I haven't actually watched this whole thing. Now listen to what he says is a death threat. Shanny's saying, yeah, you deserve a bullet in your head. That's a death threat to G-Man. That, again, there's where that line is.
That's how serious it's getting. That's how personal it's getting.
I want y'all to keep in mind that also during this period of time, G-Man has recently admitted that he wanted to come to my house because supposedly there was a shotgun or weapon of some sort in the basement. G-Man wanted to take that weapon and come to my house and blow my brains out because I was laughing at him being cold. He has recently admitted that. So if what Shanny says is a death threat, what is that, G-Man? What is that? He will defend himself saying that while trying to excoriate Shanny for what she said. Again, there's a standard for everyone else, and then there's a G standard. Always different.
And all of it is based on a lie. It's not based on any truth or anything like that. It's all based on a lie. It's easy to manipulate people who don't have the Spirit of God. It's easy to convince a person of a lie who's not being obedient to Jesus Christ. Very easy. They hate you without cause, then claim they're showing everybody love. Oh, I'm not like those Christians over there. I actually sit down and have conversations, but I never preach the gospel to anyone. That person would hate a guy like John the Baptist. That person would hate a person like the person. There's a lot of them persons. They're in the Word of Faith movement. A lot of them people are in the seeker friendly churches. You know what I mean? And they're gonna and these people are the kind of people that do what the world does while having like a religious feel about them and whatnot.
So again, G-Man drawing that line in the sand. What the world does versus being actually a Christian. There's always that line, and he says that he's on the side of right. Now, I want people to think about what he just said, and think about when if you guys saw it, he was talking to FabFitGeeky about his comments towards trans people. He appealed to the world as to what everyone else would do if they were put in his situation, in order for him to justify him beating a trans woman to death. That's something for people to watch about him. It's okay for G-Man to call upon the world's morals and standards when it suits him. But when he wants to appear to be a Christian, he's separate from that. And everyone else is in the wrong. It's okay for G-Man to commit a heinous act in his mind and use the world to justify it until it's not. And he wonders why people don't take him seriously.
And these people are going to join the world in getting rid of people like myself. Getting rid of people like Kent Hovind. Getting rid of people like Vocab Malone. Getting rid of people like Faithful to God.
Now, listen to the group of people he's putting himself with. Now, I could tell y'all, I could think I'm going to speak for Faithful for a little bit. He doesn't want to be put in the same camp as Kent Hovind. He does not. He's not a big fan of Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind is a felon. But G-Man will put himself in the camp with a felon. A grifter, a fraud, who's been to prison. Kent Hovind. He has no problem with that. It shouldn't surprise you all, though, that he would do that. But notice the names that he mentioned. Why do you think that he chose those names? You think that was just a coincidence? It just, just randomly popped up? Think about why he chose those names.
Getting rid of people like Sister Cherry. Getting rid of people like William Lane Craig. They want us all dead. And
Want Vocab Malone, faithful to God, dead? Really? Why is that? Kent Hovind, William Lane Craig, Vocab Malone, Sister Cherry, faithful to God, and G-Man. Now, those of you who have watched William Lane Craig, those of you who watch Kent Hovind, you're probably familiar with them. They don't have a whole lot of respect for one another, just based on, erudition. But why? Why do you think G-Man would put himself in a group with all of those people who run the gamut of education, mind you, all the way from little to no education to PhD level? I want y'all to think about that. You may not agree with Craig, but the man is educated. He's legit educated. As legit as it's going to get. But think about that. Drew Sister Cherry in there. That's something for you to keep in mind, along with all the other things that I tell you to keep in mind. All of those people are useful to him. They have vastly different actual theological beliefs. Vocab Malone's theological beliefs don't match G-Man's. If you actually sit down and understand where he is and his denomination, they're different. But then again, so is Veckles. Veckles is actually closer to Vocab Malone's. If y'all didn't know that. But think about what they have in common.
Blacks are oppressed. Oh, we're so oppressed. Look at all the fucking money we got from the fucking welfare system to buy fucking lobster tails on your fucking EBT card.
G-Man is dressed like he is about to start his shift in the last standing blockbuster.
One of the ancient ruins of a time long past.
people need to understand this. It's serious. The Bible tells us, if you read the book of Revelation, that when the man of sin is revealed, he's going to make war with the saints and he's going to prevail over us. And many of us are going to be under the altar of God, asking God, how long before he avenges our blood. We're not going to always, listen to me guys, we're not always going to be like, Lord, please forgive them, please forgive them. There's going to come a time in your walk, whether it's in this life or the next one, when you're going to be asking God, how long before you avenge our blood? Okay? And those days are coming. And what saddens me is when I see people who were doing the will of God stop doing the will of God and start doing the will of man because of rumors and lies and deception. No facts, no evidence, no proof, just because another person said so.
Right. The irony is that G-Man wants people to accept stuff just because he said so.
Like these days, if you want to destroy a Christian channel, all you gotta do is this. I'm going to use William Lane Craig as an example. If you want to just, matter, I'm not going to use William Lane Craig because we know what happened to Vigilant Christian Mario, and that they had proof.
Now, G-Man's going to give this. This is a wonderful glimpse on the inside. If you guys are wondering, how can I understand a little bit more about G-Man? Listen to his depiction of an event or a hypothetical scenario. For one thing, he doesn't actually understand a lot about like metaphorical language or what like things are supposed to be analogous to what. It's a big struggle for him, but he can make hypotheticals based on his perspective. That's not too hard. So when you hear G-Man depict a hypothetical scenario, that is almost as clear as you're going to get, glimpse into his realm, into his world, the broken and fractured arena that is his mind. Right? So this is how he thinks that you can break someone's ministry online, their YouTube ministry, wherever the hell that is. If you guys don't know who the Vigilant Christian Mario is, this is a guy who had to leave the YouTube because he was, get this, misappropriating donations and spending it on hookers and cocaine. Yes, this man had nearly $500,000 in donations that he was supposed to use towards production equipment and software and stuff like that. He ended up buying drugs and having sex with men and women. And just losing his fucking mind. Had to go to rehab. Absolutely shamed himself. He acknowledged certain parts of it, but it was other Christians who called him out. They weren't atheists. All this because I actually did a little series on him myself and stated where I got my information from, and they were other Christians. In fact, there was one Christian dude who catfished him and found out a lot of this stuff. So, if you guys don't know that story, he left rehab, please go look it up. Think about how G-Man is depicting this, because G-Man saw my reviews of it, because he started talking about Mario after I started doing my reviews. He saw it, but G-Man is still convinced that it's the evil atheist that did that. Not the fact that this guy because G-Man is fine for looking over that. Of course, does it surprise you that G-Man would overlook that and come to his defense? There's actually videos on G-Man's channel called In Defense of Vigilant Christian Mario. There's actual video. Don't believe me? Go look it up. Go look it up. He defends that. Shouldn't surprise you. Anyway, G-Man's using that as an example here, because it fits into what he needs to sort of warp into his martyrdom.
For that and whatnot. But let's use Veckel, for example, right? If they wanted to really come after Veckel, all they got to do is get a rumor going and say Veckel murdered someone. And they have proof. They never show the proof, but they say they got proof.
Irony.
And when I say proof, I mean actually showing the gun going on a person's head and somebody pulling the trigger. That's proof. Not that they knew each other or anything like that. You know what I mean? And that's a quick way to destroy the man's ministry and everything that God has worked you.
A rumor mill. That's how you destroy a Christian ministry. Yeah, not really. That's not how that works. The best way to destroy Veckel is to let him talk. That's for those of you who saw my conversation with Veckel on Shanny's channel. That's how you destroy Veckel. You let him talk. He will open himself up and just start running off at the mouth and not know what the hell people are even talking about. The best, and G-Man's very, very similar in that manner. There's no type of traps or tricks or techniques that you need to employ. It's that these guys don't understand enough about the topics that they want to talk about. They're not actually invested in having a genuine, earnest conversation. And so when you go, hey, you've responded twice now, and you've not answered my question. What was the question that I keep repeating? And they can't even tell you, because they're not invested in the conversation as an honest interlocutor. And it's easy to point out. It was very easy for me to do. And that's why I just walked away after he struggled and hemmed and hawed. And some of y'all saw that. And I'm pretty sure it was funny, but it's actually sad. It's actually sad. Because the only time that Veckel gets points, and I hate to say this, is because he's more articulate than G-Man. Intellectually, not really. Not that much further away from G-Man. And if that exchange didn't show you all, there'll be more. Trust me, there are other exchanges that he and I have where I'm having to hold back. Because he's not an honest interlocutor. He's not that bright to begin with, but you know what? Hey, if you invest enough time in yourself, you can go from being someone who doesn't know a lot to someone who knows quite a bit. I can personally attest to that. Absolutely personally attest to that. But it takes time and dedication, and the need, the want, having introspection and understanding where your deficiencies are, and wanting to rectify them. If you're not invested in yourself that way, then you'll look stupid, like Veckel. Or Smokey Saint. Same thing. Same fucking thing. They don't invest enough time in themselves to sit down and go, what are my deficiencies? And how can I fix them? G-Man, they're closely related to G-Man in that matter.
Use him to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's amazing how powerful a lie and a rumor can be when you have people that are willing to believe it without any evidence and whatnot. But that's one of the ways that they're coming after us. They're lying about us. They're making rumors
lying
about
about us.
They're making stuff up. Okay? A day is going to come. You need to understand this. Okay? And I heard Paul Washer talk about this, and he's correct. They're indoctrinating your children in school in this evolutionary garbage, which is why I speak so much about it. Okay? They're whether it's in an after school program, whether they're doing it at work, they're trying to indoctrinate you to stop listening to Jesus Christ.
Now, that's quite the claim. I'm not going to keep this going for a while because actually I want to go play some more New World while I got this free time. So when you hear G-Man make these sort of awkward declarations that they want you, whoever they is, they want you to stop believing in Jesus Christ. I want y'all to think about something. As long as he's been interacting with me, all this conspiracies, Dragnauct controls people's minds, all this kind of stuff. When have y'all ever heard me tell you not to be a Christian? Have any of you even heard me say anything close to that? Or even so much as allude to the fact that you shouldn't be religious? Whatever the religion may be. Have you ever heard me say anything to the sort? At all. Ever. I'll give you a few minutes. No, let me know if you've ever heard me say anything like that. Oh, I had a sty. It's bothering me. What's up?
They want.
Oop, there we go. So, nope, never. No Lord Drag. What game is that? New World. That's what the game is. No, not. You've never heard me say anything like that, ever. If you ask G-Man what Dragnauct's goal is on YouTube, it's to deconvert Christians. Some of y'all have heard him say that. But you've never actually heard me say anything like that or anything close to it. In fact, he knows of at least 2 people that has come to me in their time of weakness, and I told them to keep their faith. He knows of 2 people who have told him that. But if you ask him, G-Man will lie. Every single time. He will lie. He will actually lie. That's a huge shock for people. But he doesn't care. Veckel supports the lying. Sister Cherry supports that. All the other enablers, they love that shit because it helps this idiot do what he thinks is right. And I'm glad. I'm glad it shows their level of dishonesty. It'd be very easy to pull up a video where I'm saying something like that, or it's a comment by me saying something like that, but they can never do that. I say, okay, we'll take the wildest interpretation of me even remotely alluding to that. You won't find it because I don't say shit like that. Ever. But that's fine as long as it fits where it somewhat comports to his nonsense. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and we got server maintenance an hour and a half. Oh, I'm going to get my hour and a half in then.
Want his lordship to go away. They want you to listen to man. They want you to be obedient to man. And when they get them, they're going to use that person to try to get to you. And it's up to you to stay strong in your faith. But what's ultimately going to happen is all these people in this world here are going to be so indoctrinated in lies, rumors, gossip, and false religion that they're all going to come against God's people. And they're going to put their hands on us. The day is coming. They're going to knock on your door. They're going to confiscate everything that you have. They're going to put a gun in your head, and they're going to tell you to renounce your faith, or they're going to pull the trigger.
Now, this is the fun stuff that he talks about. This is actually related to the dream that he had where he was about to get raped in a stall. I know that sounds funny. I'm actually very serious about that. What he's saying right now, with people coming to your house and putting a gun to your head and tell, "Are you a Christian? You better not love Christ. I'll blow your fucking brains out. I got a lot of bullets. You better not love Christ." He actually thinks shit like that's going to happen. This is very, very real. He's not joking about that. He fantasizes about stuff like this. This is the sort of stuff that he says in person, if y'all didn't know that. These are actual, real fantasies, and I know that sounds contradictory, but what he is expressing here, he 100% legitimately believes, without a doubt in my mind. The vigor and the detail in which he depicts these things, even in person, is astounding. I don't think about lobster bits that much. I know that's strange, but I don't think about stuff that long. I don't think about titties that much. As this guy fantasizes about someone forcing him to renounce his faith and killing him, or torturing him. The torture, he has so many creative ways that he thinks someone's going to come torture him. And he thinks that that's normal. He actually thinks that that shit's normal. But this is the person. This is the best part. This is the person who you need to listen to so you can have a better life. You need to adopt his crazy ass version, his radical evangelical version of Christianity specifically, in order to live a better life. Yes, there's going to be suffering, but ultimately it's the best life you can live. The bestest of lives. You need to throw yourself into a torrent of paranoid delusions and hatred and vitriol and live every day like him if you want to be the bestest Christian that you can be. Why not? Be even better one. Your neighbor's going to come kill you. Why? Because reasons. It is madness. Absolute madness. But I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge this person is on the fringe. His beliefs, some of them outside of this, are shared by quite a few evangelicals across the United States. It's stuff like the flood, right? The hot takes on evolution, stuff like that. Those views are actually shared by quite a few. But this right here is something that this man is constantly thinking about. In a real life conversation, yeah, I have no problem. I talk to Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons in real life. There's actually videos on my Patreon where I'm sitting down talking to them. But this person does not represent your average Christian at all, and he knows that. He acknowledges that he doesn't, because he thinks that because he is so extreme, he must be special. He's put himself on the fringes, so therefore he gets extra special powers or some shit. I don't know. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of this madness, and then I'm gonna hop on some New World and look at some titties and get some Starbucks with the wife.
That day is coming. Pay attention to what people are saying on their channels.
You can tell that people are going to come to your house and put a gun to your head because of what people are saying on YouTube. No, I didn't get your text message.
Pay very, very close attention to the things that they are saying. A lot of Christians aren't receiving death threats because we're going out there threatening other people. We're receiving death threats because we're preaching, because we're exercising our freedom of religion here in the United States of America. Because we're exercising our freedom of religion.
Not because he defends pedophilia, not because G-Man says that it's okay to kill trans people, not because of that. It has nothing at all to do with him saying that he was going to piss on someone's mother's grave. Not any of that at all. It's because he's a Christian and he preaches the gospel.
To preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. To have an opinion against the things that we see going on in this world. The day is going to come where not only will your rights be taken away from you, but pay close attention to how our government is treating Muslims here in this country. They say a lot of things with their mouth, but whenever you go to New York or you're in Times Square or something like that, pay attention to how they're treating these people. They're singling them out. If they see them in like if they see them like on the train stations and the bus stations or something like that, and they see that they're Muslims or whatever, they're wearing the garbs or whatever, they'll stop them a lot of times and look through their bags and whatnot. They're watching them very heavily because they don't want another 9/11 to happen here. That's coming to Christianity soon. They're going to do that to us soon.
Irony is that it's mostly Christians who are the ones who are doing that to Muslims, but, you know, hey, we're going to ignore that.
Laws are going to be made, policies are going to be changed, and it is going to be illegal to be a Christian here in the United States of America. And honestly and truthfully, the only people that don't see it are people that are not paying attention to politics. You're not paying attention to what's going on around the world. One of the things that caught my attention, a lot of you probably don't know who Eve Real was, but Eve used to be an atheist, and not the sole reason, but one of the reasons I paid attention to her when she said this was
because she was a white woman. He took interest in her.
It was when she said that one of the things that she noticed as an atheist was he saw everybody going after Christians. Why aren't you going? If you're going to say you're an anti-theist and you're an anti, and that you're a misotheist, why not go after all gods? Why are you only?
So the person he's talking about had recently converted and was going through their angry atheist phase. If you don't know a lot about the phases of when someone becomes an atheist, there's a part right after deconversion, about 2 years, where they're sort of angry at the world. They think that they've been intentionally deceived by people who are in their family. There's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of vitriol that happens, right? And there are different organizations to help mitigate that. That is a natural process, unfortunately, through the deconversion process. If you're not familiar with the psychology of a deconversion, then please get more familiar with it. It is actually quite tumultuous. I talk about it a bit on Neil, the 604 Atheist channel. He has a whole channel on deconversion stories, and they mirror each other, right? So what Eve was going through was something of what all of us go through, but she was not really and I hate that there's no true atheist shit. What she saw was a microcosm because she surrounded herself with like-minded people and didn't actually extend into kind of the larger landscape of atheists who didn't just recently deconvert. Right? I would still technically be in the category of the firebrand atheists who they're just going after stuff. So on Google Plus at this period of time that he's mentioning, the primary focus were specifically radical evangelical Christians. There weren't many Muslims around to interact with. So why would you go after a target that you don't see very much, right? That's why I'm always confused as to why this is being brought up. So what she saw was a microcosm within a sphere she barely even understood to begin with. So I always have to question someone's understanding. That's like me. I only spent 4 years in the military, right? I can give you my opinion on how the military works, but ultimately I was at the lower rungs as a lower enlisted. As far as the operational side or the large organizational side of the military, I was not very privy to that. So I couldn't give you insight into that. Just like Eve couldn't give you insight into what atheists actually did. So keep all that in mind. G-Man specifically picks Eve because he thinks that he played a large role in her coming back to Christ. He thinks that that's a success story, and that because she now affirms a lot of the nonsense that he said from her limited understanding, her limited perspective, then that adds to his misunderstanding of how things actually work. But anyway, we'll save this for later, part 24. Thank y'all for reaching out. Thank you for your continued lobster bisque money and titty pictures and videos. Love me some titty videos. But that's it. Time to get the family some food and stuff. I will be on New World and in Discord. If you're looking to get in on the New World stuff from Amazon Games, check my community tab. There's information on the server, who to contact, all that good shit. And I will catch y'all later. Where is the outro? There's G-Man.
The announcement is this. I'm going to be doing a Google Hangout next Friday. Not today, but next Friday. And that particular Google Hangout will be focused on primarily one thing. I'm asking everyone to bring their own personal rap to this particular Google Hangout.
I'm gonna expose myself on YouTube. I'm gonna make a YouTube video embarrassing myself.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I got to tell you about the fabulous, most groovy
G-Man. G-Man. You know you're breaking the law right now. I will stomp a mud hole in you, sir. I am not playing, Dragnauct.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. Audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man.
So big in this that I mean.
My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man. G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even out-talk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man.
So big in this that I mean.
My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man. G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even out-talk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to